Hello, everybody in YouTube land. How are you? My name's Aubrey Haase, and welcome to just another quick training that I wanted to do. I've been thinking about a lot of different things lately, some interesting changes and turns in my life with some of the health things that I'm experiencing, and just being very reflective on my own thoughts about life in general, what I'm up to, really wanting to make a difference in the world, and also just kind of like how our thoughts run us, what my thoughts have been lately, and I'm really just been doing a lot of writing, and one of the things that have been coming up with people that I've been talking to lately is there's just I would say almost like a general malaise in their life, and I know on some level I was kind of creating that in my life, just the way that I was looking at some of the symptoms I'm experiencing from health, and and it was interesting because I started asking just the one question, and the answer is all the same, and so I wanted to do a training on it really fast because literally like it says in the description, if you take this one thing, this one tip, trick, tool, whatever you want to call it, your life can change instantly just by using this. And a lot of people right now, even in your thought process, you're probably like, oh, that's BS, that's not going to happen, but it will. It will, because it's a big part of how you show up in the world, not only to other people, but yourself. And that is being your word, and following through and being in integrity with your word. And what does that mean? What is my word, right? Well, you have your word for you, and you've heard probably elsewhere like my word is my bond, and if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and that's true. Your word is your bond. Your word is your integrity. Your word is how you show up in the world, especially to other people, and especially to people that don't know you. Now, how you are in relationship with your word is also going to be how people see you in the future. And that's going to be an immediate impact, whether it's a job interview, whether it's going to ask your boss for a raise, whether you're going through something right now in a relationship with your family member or loved one or husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend, whether it's yourself, whether it's meeting new people. And your word is imperative. It builds integrity. It builds trust. It builds character, which I'll talk about it at some point in the future, because those are great topics that we can never really hear enough about and get different views on it to really reassess where we are in our life. Because a lot of times we're just doing what we do in the world, and that's it. We can be self-consumed. I love using me as an example. I started being very consumed more about these symptoms I was experiencing than what I get to do in my life. Because let's just say that these symptoms don't go away. Well, then what? And I really reformed my ways, because one of the things is that I can't do as much as I used to. And so my question then to myself was, okay, I need to be in integrity with my word, so I'm going to make less commitments to people, because I don't know if my energy level will meet it. But I also got to be very careful. Am I using that as an excuse to get out of things, to get out of responsibility? So very much looking at how I do me in the world, because that's what we do. And we can be self-consumed, and we don't see things. And a lot of times, until you even have this idea of what I'm talking about your word, that's the starting point. My word to myself on how I'm going to take care of myself. My word to others on what I can give right now. I had to say no to a good friend of mine who asked me to help on a project. I could not commit to it because I didn't know if I was going to have the energy, the health, the whatever to follow through. And so instead of saying, yes, I'll do it, and then not do it, and then go, oh, but you understand, right? I'm not feeling well. Just remember this. Not being your word and a great excuse is not the same as being your word, right? Not being your word and having a great excuse is not the same as being your word. It's not the same as doing what you said you were going to do. It's not the same of making that promise, because it's a contract. Now, mostly it's a contract between you and you. I mean, that's what integrity is. Do I live my life in accordance with these views, my beliefs, the things that I say? Am I in integrity with myself? And then am I in integrity with other people through the agreements that we make? Hey, listen, I'll meet you at 10 a.m. for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Okay, great. You show up at 10:15. Were you your word? No. And I can tell you right now that this is the one that always pops up is, are you on time? Are you on time for the things that you promise yourself? Whether it's you or whether it's friends. How many times have you been late? How many times have you been late but had a really good excuse? Being late with a really good excuse is not the same as what? Being on time, right? And you're like, oh, Aubrey, come on. If I say I'm going to be there at 10, that's not my word. That's just an estimation. No, it's not. Because what you're saying on some level is to whoever you're making that agreement with that their time is not valuable. Their time is not, that their time is able to be wasted by you. And not knowing, here's the thing, because when you're in your space and you're like, okay, I'm going to call somebody at 10 o'clock. Like, this is the way that I work with my clients. If you have a call with me at 10 a.m., you call me at 10 a.m., not at 9:59 and not at 10:01. I have a client that goes until 10 a.m. and then you start at 10 a.m. Now, here's the thing. I always say, and I'm pretty lenient because some of my mentors and my coaches, if you're 2 minutes late, you don't get the call and you still get charged for it, period. I do 10 minutes. But here's the thing. How do I know that you're going to call at all when you're late, even if it's a minute? And then if you're not going to call, if I wait and wait and wait to see if you're going to call, that's putting off other things that I could be doing in that time and space that I can't start because I'm waiting on you to see if you're going to be your word or not. And you might call 1 minute late. You might call 10 minutes late. You might call 15 minutes late. I don't know. You might not call at all. And this is the same thing that people do when you're late. Hey, I'll meet you at 10 a.m. for coffee. Great. And all of a sudden your friend gets a phone call at 9:55 and it's an important phone call. I say, listen, I can't talk right now. I'm meeting a friend in 5 minutes. I'll call you back at a certain time. And they make a new agreement, right? And then you're late. Well, that's time that this person could have been using, productive time that they could have been using. But then they don't create the phone call. They don't call the person back because they're being respectful to you. And then you're not your word. And I want to make this perfectly clear because when you understand this, like I said, this can change everything in your life immediately. You want more money? You want to be more powerful? You want better relationships? You want to feel more self-confidence and self-esteem? Be your word. That's where it starts. That's the number one first thing. If you're not your word, nothing else matters. You're breaking promises to you, you're breaking promises to yourself. And it would be the same thing as if you were a little kid, right? And your parent or whoever says, "Hey, we're going to Disney World tomorrow." And then they go, and then tomorrow comes, it's like, "When are we going? When are we going?" And you're like, "Oh, we're not going to go. We changed our mind." Think about that emotional attachment, that emotional that the child has when you broke your word, you broke your promise. On some level, on a subconscious level, because remember, I deal with consciousness and also subconscious. Conscious, you're explaining it away right now. That's the ego. Right now, your consciousness is explaining it away. Your conscious thought, your critical thought going, that's BS, that doesn't work that way. You're just over-exaggerating and this and that because your ego doesn't want to be held responsible for anything. It wants to give you excuses so you don't have to have responsibility because is it hard being your word? It can be. Of course it can be. That means that you're going to have to leave earlier, especially if there's traffic. Because arriving late and going, well, there was traffic. Great. I know a lot of employers that if it's 10 a.m. and your appointment's at 10 a.m. and you show up at 10 a.m. in 22 seconds because there was traffic, they won't even give you the interview. They're like, thank you, see ya. If you can't be trusted to be your word, to show up on the first impression, how are you going to be in the rest of your job? And that's what people think. And subconsciously, you're breaking your promise to yourself over and over and over and over again. Here's another one. Maybe this one will relate to you a little bit more. I'm going to go to the gym 3 days this week. And you only go to the gym 2 days this week. I bet you found a good excuse on why you didn't go the third day. Is going 2 days and having a great excuse the same as going 3 days? No. And on some level, you're paying a price for it. On a spiritual level, you're paying a price for it. On a subconscious level, you're reinforcing all those beliefs that you've ever had before in your life, that you're not worth it, that you can't do it, that you're a failure. And guess what? You're going to see results to back that up. Because you didn't go 3 days, you only went 2 days. And you didn't get the results that you would have gotten if you went 3 days. You only got the results that you see in 2 days. And those results aren't going to be the results that you want. And you're going to reinforce that story that you're telling yourself somewhere in your subconscious, that you're not good enough, that you're not worth it. And let me ask you a question. Are you not worth keeping your promises to? Are you not worth somebody else keeping their promises to you? Do you think that little of yourself, that you would just blatantly lie to yourself, that you would blatantly not keep your own promises? Now, it might be really easy at this point for somebody to go, oh, that's fine, then I just won't make any promises. That's the total opposite. Now, you get to find the line in your life about overcommitting or undercommitting, right? Undercommitting is another way of letting us off the hook. Oh, well, I'll only go to the gym 1 day this week. That way I know I'll keep my promise. And when I go 3 days, I'll feel really good about myself. Well, now you're not setting yourself up to win either. Because believe me, you'll fall to the level of your commitment. And if your commitment is to go 1 day, you'll find a way to go 1 day, because when you do it on Monday, you go, oh, I went my 1 day. Your mind is instantly going to find reasons not to go because you already kept your promise. Undercommitting will also not have you have the wealth or the power or the influence that you want. It won't help you have those intimate relationships. It won't help you find love. It won't help you lose weight. It won't help you get in better shape. It won't help you follow up with the doctor. It won't help you get that project done. It won't help you get the promotion at work. It's not going to help you with anything if you undercommit. All right? Overcommitting is the exact opposite. It's when now you wonder why do you overcommit? Biggest reason is because you want to try to please everybody. And you have no boundaries. And when you have no boundaries, you lose. Period. You lose. When you overcommit, you're not gonna make all those commitments. Then you start negotiating. Well, whose am I going to break and whose am I going to keep? And how is that fair to anybody? And don't you think that if you're negotiating your commitments with me, that I might have a reaction? Or your friend or your mom negotiating with you about their commitments? Hey, you know what? I'm only in town for 2 days, and I know that I said I was going to see you, but something came up. How does that feel? Oh, I understand, but you're hurt. Can you understand? Sure. Is it a viable excuse? Maybe. But having a great excuse and not being your word is not the same as being your word. If you want to start having great success in business, in your life and wealth, and if you want to start having intimate relationships, keep your promises. Be your word. Hey, boss, I'm going to have this on your desk by 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Guess what? 3 p.m. on Wednesday comes, you better have it on their desk. I guarantee you that's the fastest way to a promotion. I guarantee you that when you look at all the projects that you have on some level of being done in your life, because you took on too much, because you're like, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and you're not getting any of them done, you don't feel good about yourself, and you're not living the life that you want to live. How could you be? You're not finishing anything. You're overcommitting and finishing nothing. You're breaking your promises to yourself. And then when you look at your results, there's no results there. And then you feel like crap, and then you quit altogether. Take one of those projects and commit to it and finish it. Be your word. I'm going to make this happen by a certain time. And you want to know something? Put a time frame on it. You want to know why? Because it becomes real. I'm going to have this done by next week. Okay? By what time next week? What day? Monday or Tuesday. No. That's not a commitment. And you have to look at yourself right now and say, why am I not committing? Is it because I don't believe I can do it? Is it because I don't believe in myself? Is it because I have low self-esteem? Is it because I have low confidence, maybe no confidence? But here's the beautiful part about everything. When you start being your word, I'll get that report on your desk by 4 p.m. on Friday. And you get that report on their desk by 4 p.m. on Friday, 1 year your word. You're going to feel good about yourself. 2, you're going to get positive reinforcement that being your word means something. Your boss is going to know, great job. Thank you. You were your word. They're going to recognize it. They might not say anything to you right then, but they're going to recognize it, especially when reviews come up. And they go, well, Billy's always been their word. They say they're going to do something and they do it. And that's people that what people want to promote. That's people want to follow those people. You say you're going to do something and you do it. That's trust. You say you're going to do something and you do it. People will respect you. You say you're going to do something and you do it. You're going to respect yourself. You're going to become the person that you believe in. And your results are going to start feeding your confidence. It's going to start feeding your self-esteem because you're going to feel good that you're doing what you said you were going to do. No matter what. No matter if, oh, I promised I was going to be there for coffee at 10 a.m. I'm going to leave at 8 a.m. and I'm going to get there an hour and a half early. Could you do that? Yes. Could you do that to be your word? Absolutely. And I'm not even going to talk in this part about renegotiating because there is a way to renegotiate. But remember this, is renegotiating your word, even if it's agreed upon, the same as being your word? No. Hey, I'll have this by you by Friday at 5 p.m. Thursday comes, boss, listen, this happened, that happened, because there's circumstances, right? Always circumstances. And you guys, we like to believe as humans that our circumstances are in charge of us. And that loses all our control, all our power. It loses our ability to choose. It eliminates possibilities because we go, no, the circumstances. And we totally don't do anything with our lives because of circumstances. When circumstances are nothing. You're just doing your world and you're doing it. And then the world is happening and sometimes they collide. And sometimes, yeah, you might get a flat tire on the way to work. Is there another way that you could do it? Could you call a cab right there instead of trying to figure out, well, I got to get my car fixed and I got to do this and I got to take care of that? Or could you try to be your word and get on time and call an Uber and say, hey, I'm on the I-15 or I-95 or wherever you are in the world on the 405. My car just broke down. Pick me up. I need to be at work by this time. But if you talk on your boss on Thursday and you say, I need to renegotiate up to Monday at 3 p.m., guess what? Your boss probably is going to say, okay. But is that the same as being your word? No. You get to look at why. Did you overcommit? Did you undercommit? Did you commit and just not do it? What's getting in your way? When I tell you right now that this is one of the things that you can do right now, today, and instantly have results, start looking at how am I being my word, how am I not? What comes up that I believe is more important than me being my word? What am I telling people that is more important than their time? What am I telling people that is more important than my promise to them? It's more important because that's what you're doing. It's more important than being your word. It's more important than keeping your promise. Your circumstances that you run into in life are more important than the promise you made to meet your friend, or the promise that you made to your boss, or the promise that you made to yourself to lose a few pounds or get in better shape. You start seeing how this adds up. Because when you're not your word, you lose your confidence, you lose your self-esteem, you lose friends, you lose trust. When you're not your word, it's very easy to sit there and believe that nothing's ever going to happen for you because you don't have the results that show it to you because you're not being your word. It's very easy to lose confidence in yourself. You go, I never do anything anyway. And then you go, I really want to do this. And in the back of your head or your subconscious on some level goes, we never finish. Why even start? And your life is affected. And other people's lives are affected. You want to change something right now to have a totally brand new way for you to be in this world? Be your word. If you say you're going to be there at 10 a.m., be there at 10 a.m. You can be there early. Don't expect the meeting to start early because you're there early. But you're setting yourself up to win, right? You know, in transformation, one of the things about being on time, they say, look, if there was $5 million waiting for you here just to be on time, would you have found a way to be on time? And nobody's answered no yet. You probably would have camped out the night before to make sure you're on time, to make sure nothing happens. So why aren't you being that way? Why aren't you being in integrity with your word like that every day? Because some things are more important than money. And one day you might look around and you don't have the money that you want, or the relationship that you want, or the health that you want, or the body that you want, and you don't feel good. You're not experiencing joy in life. You're not experiencing joy in the world. And then you become miserable. And then all you're going to start recognizing is more misery. And it's all started from this place of you not being your word. Or you could do it the other way around and start being your word right now. Doesn't matter what happened even a second ago. Commit right now to be your word. And really start seeing, do I overcommit? Do I undercommit? You really want to challenge yourself. Make that goal challenging for yourself. If you go, I could easily get this report done by Friday at 5 p.m., then make it Friday at 9 a.m. Challenge yourself. Push yourself. You'll start seeing what you're made of. And then when you realize, oh, I could have got this done by Friday at 5. I made the commitment to Friday at 9 a.m. I got it done by 9 a.m. You're going to start reinforcing the positive stuff about you, the positive stuff that you're doing. And then you're going to start doing more because now you have from Friday at 9 a.m. to Friday at 5 p.m. to finish something else. And you're going to be more productive, which is going to give you more results, which is going to give you more money or better relationships or that body that you want. You're going to be eating better. What about relationships, personal relationships? Be your word. Honey, I'll call you at 2 p.m. Call him at 2 p.m. Otherwise, you're saying, I don't care enough about you to keep this promise. And what I made more important was my boss called. And you could say, hey, you know what? I promised my wife that I would call her at 2 p.m. Give me 1 second, boss, to just call her and say, hey, I'm talking to my boss right now, and let her know when a good time is to talk. Now, are you your word? Yes. Now, were you able to complete what you wanted to complete? No. So there still might be a way to make that up. But there's ways. Because being your word, finding ways to be your word are going to open up you to new possibilities you never saw before, instead of going, I can't call, my boss is here. And that's it. That becomes your reality. You want to talk about getting results in your life, you got to be able to see different possibilities. At some point, the person that created Uber said, I want to have the world's largest ride service, but I don't want to own any cars. Now think about that. That's crazy. And yet it works. They're the largest ride company in the world. They don't own a single car. Airbnb is the largest host of people, of guests, of tourists, and they don't own a single property. 10 years ago, you'd be going, that's impossible. But somebody was open to that possibility. And when you're open to new possibilities, you'll see ways for your relationship to get better. You'll see ways to be more committed in a relationship. You'll see ways to create and generate trust. You'll see ways to make more money. You'll see ways to get more production out of yourself. You'll see all these ways when you start being your word. So I really hope that you're starting to see this, because it's the way for you to get something right now that will change your life forever. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll definitely talk more about it. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put it in the comment. Please subscribe to this channel. Be aware when new videos come out. And I'll put up the rest of my contact info. AubreyHaase.com, Facebook.com/Aubrey P. Haase, P as in Patricia. Twitter is @AubreyHaase. And of course, you're watching my YouTube channel right now. But go ahead and subscribe to that and share this with your friends and be your word. And if you commit right now and say, I'm going to share this with 3 of my friends on their Facebook walls, go do it. 3 people, be your word. And you're going to start watching your life change instantly. Thanks, guys. Until the next time, have an amazing, amazing day, amazing life. Keep working on yourself, and you're going to get everything that you've ever wanted.